This is the 2016 Motion Evo City Wave. And I think they call it the Wave because it's kind of got that deep drop down right here with a little crossbar to give it some stiffness, but ultimately be easy to approach and stand over, just like I'm doing right now. This is a bike where you can stop, you get the handlebars, you look up, spot traffic, have some comfort, got the ergonomic grips, suspension fork, nothing too fancy, it's just SR Sun Tour. It does have lockout. And I love that they've got this little dynamo hub up here that operates the front headlight. It's a Roxio by Spaninga. I'm on the medium-sized frame, but it actually comes in two sizes, medium and large, again, because I think it's one of the more popular models. It's one that's just really approachable. So if you're someone who hasn't ridden an electric bike before, or someone who hasn't been riding traditional bikes for a while, and you're just kind of like, oh, you know, I'm a little concerned about traffic and stuff, this would be a great option. You know, you're covered on, like, every angle. You've got safety with the reflective sidewalls on those tires. The white frame also going to be reflective. You've got utility. Get the fenders front and rear with the little mud flaps. And then those lights just give you even more visibility. There's one up front and there should be one back here, but I'm at the Easy Motion site and this is one of their demo bikes, so looks like it lost it somewhere along the way. I also love that in terms of utility, you've got a rack here with 25 kilograms of weight capacity. That's about 55 pounds. So you could put a pannier on here, click it to the side, or just use this included bungee that they've got. It's got a little clip-in interface down there at the bottom. That's pretty cool. It's nice to have something like that straight out of the box. Also, got a chain cover. Just going to keep your pants or your dress from getting snagged and dirtied up on that chain. And, you know, the component group they've chosen here, it says Alivio, might be a Serra Alivio. They're both right next to each other. Sometimes, again, given that this is a demo bike, things can change along the way. I welcome you to chime in if you see anything different about it. But both of these component groups are a few steps up from the bottom of Shimano. They do a decent job. And really, you know, Easy Motion has this slogan of like, the electric bike that doesn't look like one. There it is, right there on the side of their little van. And it really doesn't look like an electric bike because the battery's so well integrated. The motor is painted black, just like the spokes, just like the rims. It blends in, you know, it's beautiful. And you get plenty of gears. So there are 3 up front, 3 sprockets, and then 8 in the rear. So that's 24 total. That's plenty. So at any speed, you're gonna feel comfortable. You're not gonna have to slow down and push really hard or go super fast and struggle to keep up. There's a gear in there for you all the way up and probably past 20 miles per hour, which is the top assisted speed that this offers. Yes, you can go more than 20 miles per hour if you want, like you're coasting down a hill. It's not going to slow you down. In fact, internally geared hubs, like the one we're looking at here, they don't slow you down. There's no cogging. There's really no inefficiency aside from the added weight. So in terms of transporting this, you might notice there's no top tube, and that makes it convenient to stand over. But in terms of a rack for your car, you probably need one of those support racks, right, where you kind of load it from the bottom and it maybe a hitch off the back of your car. Both wheels could be removed. You'd require some tools to get the front one off. It's just got these standard bolts. There are no quick release. But the rear motor does have quick release. And there are these proprietary levers that Easy Motion has developed. They're just plastic. So you pull it out and then lock it in, and then you can use that like to, you know, tighten or loosen the bolt. Got a little torque arm right there to give you some strength in terms of the frame and how the motor's mounted, especially since this is a higher power motor. And then down here you can see the cable that's coming out of the hub. A lot of the older electric bikes, it would come right out of the axle, and that was a little bit more vulnerable. If the bike tipped, it could bend the wire or smash it and end up not working. So I like that. You've also got solid disc brakes, 160 millimeter back here. This is hydraulic, and 180 up front, also hydraulic. So hydraulic disc brakes just tend to be really easy to actuate. There's no like cable sliding back and forth. It's just fluid. Sometimes, depending on the climate and stuff, if it's really, really, really cold, the fluid can kind of slow down a little bit, but ultimately they're going to be easy to activate. Maybe for someone who doesn't have super strong hands, or, you know, it's a city type bike, right? So you're not going to be blasting down mountain biking trails or anything, but that's really where the technology was developed, and for cars and motorcycles and stuff. So it's pretty high quality stuff. So down here we're looking at the tires, and it looks like these are Marathon from Schwabe. You've got that reflective sidewall stripe I was complimenting earlier, 28 by 1.50, so it's a 700C by 38C. This is really just a standard like city tire. It's not super comfortable, but it's also not super inefficient, which is something that you see with mountain bike tires, or really, really fat tires. So that helps to reduce the weight and just give you some more range. This is about a 58-pound bike. It's not super light. Again, this is the medium, so it could weigh even more with the large, but that's just because it's got so many accessories and such a large battery. It's 48 volts, so 48, 500. That's a lot of power and potential, but it depends on how you ride it, whether you're using pedal assist with that little torque sensor down there. It senses when you pedal and it propels you. It activates the motor dynamically, or you're using this twist throttle where you just twist and go like a little scooter. I also love that they've got a little bell. So the trigger shifters up here change gears, and that's really just like any traditional bike. What I've noticed that they can be a little bit tough, especially that small one sometimes. You kind of push them in. It's because the wire's going all the way back here. I've noticed that on a couple of the Easy Motion bikes, and I was surprised. They work well enough, but maybe it's just because they haven't been broken in as much. I usually ride with my chain on the middle gear up front just to keep it simple, and then I use all the gears in the back. That way I only have to shift with one side. And I kind of personally, I think this is overkill, especially because it's an electric bike. You get assist. You don't need to shift frequently like you would with a center drive in order to maximize how the motor is performing. With this bike, you could be in the lowest gear, not pedaling, just using that throttle if you wanted to. So it's really empowering that way, and relatively quiet. There's this kind of a zippy noise that it makes, but it's nothing too loud. If you wanted to improve the comfort even more, given that these are kind of narrow tires, you could swap out the seat post. This is 31.6 millimeter diameter. So if you found like a thud buster or a body float, these are all suspension posts that give you a little bit of comfort. They're kind of like a shock absorber right there. They do sell even cheaper ones on Amazon, but they are cheaper. They're not gonna hold up quite as well or give you as much travel. That's one area where you can improve this bike, but really with the Celia Royale saddle, it's a gel saddle, that's pretty good. And then for most people, if you're riding on stuff, even if it's a little bit rough like this, you're not gonna notice it too much. And again, having that suspension fork really helps a lot. I just wanna compliment the colors and point out the integrated wires here and everything, so it's not like you have a bunch of stuff tacked onto the frame that's gonna scrape you up. And then Easy Motion has a pretty solid warranty of like a couple years. And, oh, I can't believe I missed this. This is the adjustable stem, so you can kind of open that without tools and raise or lower your handlebars and give yourself more of an upright position, which I really appreciate when I'm riding in traffic. That way I don't have to bend really far forward and give my back and neck strain. I use my electric bike for commuting, so this would be a perfect platform. I'm turning on the display right now, but I'm going to go into this separately inside. It's a little bit easier to read and get some feedback on. So let's cut to that. So I'm inside charging. I thought this would be the perfect time to go through the display panel. It's the same for all of the Easy Motion bikes that use kind of the proprietary down tube and hub motor design, not the Bosch bikes, and this is only for 2014, 2015, 2016. So if we look at this display panel, it's nice that you can remove it. First of all, you can pop it off like that, carry it around with you. And if you upgrade to this little Bluetooth module, you can pop that in, sync it with your phone, and then use your phone as a display. And it's got GPS, route guidance, and in fact, I might cut to that and just show you what those features are. So I'm borrowing a phone and I'm inside so you can see the screen a little bit better, but if we launch the BH Premium app, this is where you can adjust your settings. You've got a user profile, which includes all of your information, like your name, if you want, your weight, your height, your age, that kind of thing. You can switch between units too, which is neat, kind of metric or imperial. Bike profile, which is very cool. I mean, they go from wheel size, crank length, battery capacity, sensor connection, like the TMM4 torque sensing, and even like locate my bike settings. So you'll need that if you upgrade for like the theft prevention. For $249, it mounts kind of at the base of the battery interface. It's very cool because then it's locked in physically by the battery and it allows you to track it down. In addition to that $249 accessory, you still need to get like a SIM card, and it seems like most SIM cards would work. I think they're like 15 bucks, kind of like you'd use for a cell phone, but apparently it's not like a subscription service, or at least that's not the information I got. And then connections, status, system diagnostic, it can kind of go through and troubleshoot. So that's the background for setup. And then ride is really where it's at. This is like the GPS enabled feature. Manual is just, hey, I want to go here, and it's a map and it tells you, just like Google Maps or Waze or any of those. Automatic is kind of another level of cool. It basically senses how much battery you have, how much you're using, and it automatically adjusts so that you can arrive without running out of juice. I really like that. I think that's cool. And then automatic is also very cool. BH, it's this company that's been around since 1909, and they make a lot of fitness equipment. It's not just bicycles or electric bikes. And one of the areas that they also make, I guess, would do a lot of products in is exercise equipment, and some of those have heart rate monitors and different sensors and stuff. So they've integrated that really well here, where you can say, hey, I don't want to exceed 155 or 140 or whatever beats per minute. Automatically give me power when I need it. So it's like you're getting exercise, but you're not exhausting yourself. You can go out there and ride it just like it's an exercise bike, but in the real world. I think that's pretty fantastic. I think Polaris and Falco have done similar things in the past, but BH, I think that they've really mastered it with some of their exercise equipment. So to see it on this app here is just very cool. And then this is what the map looks like. You can kind of tap and do a starting point and then an ending point and change the resistance level and everything. It's a sweet app, if you take a little bit of time to dig into it, and if you get that $149 accessory. The only complaint I have on that, again, is just that then you don't really have a display. Like, this kind of becomes your display. And I feel like, I don't know, I wouldn't always want this there. There's no USB port to plug in, so your phone is going to be connected via Bluetooth. And by the way, it seems like it's ANT Plus compatible with the whole heart rate thing. But this is there now. It's a little bit big. Maybe I just want to glance over and see how fast I'm going. And what I'm looking at here might be like the GPS map thing. So I don't know. Maybe there's some refinement that could happen, but it's cool to see them introducing an app like this. Okay, so we're back at the normal display right here. I love that it comes with a little pouch, kind of keeps it from getting scuffed up. As you can see, this one might have been put face down on a table, and it's a little bit gnarly, but working pretty well. If we hold the power button, it does take a little bit longer, so just keep holding it, be patient. Kind of boots up and gives us some information about the bike. The first thing you see here is speed in miles per hour. And then over here, we've got total, distance, time, and top speed. So that's like all-time top speed, 11 miles per hour, awesome. And then we've got just this trip. So this trip, how far have we gone? How long have we been riding? And then what's our top speed? And then there's this other setting here. It's like M to go. I feel like that's a range thing, but I haven't quite figured it out. Down here we can see a battery level indicator. 3 out of 5 bars right now, about 55%. I like that they include the percentage as well. It's just a little bit more precise. And then assist level. We're at the highest right now at 100%, but we can arrow down to 70, 50, 30, or 0. And that's kind of cool because their bikes, they're designed to be more like a bicycle with more gears and just really set up to almost look like a regular bicycle too. So riding them around tends to be pretty efficient. It's nice to just use this as a cycle computer, potentially to power the lights if the model has that. Okay, so to enter the settings, what we would do is hold plus and minus for a couple seconds. Now it would let us select our wheel size. We could arrow up or arrow down. This one's a 29er actually, so I'm gonna arrow up a little bit. 29, and hit power. And that kind of locks it in. Unit, miles per hour, but of course we could go to kilometers per hour. And I'm gonna lock it in at miles. And then this snow setting. So this is kind of cool. Right now, this one, I'm looking at the Evo Snow 29 Pro, and of course we want all the wheels going all the time, and that's kind of a cool setting. It gives you some extra traction. If we arrow down, just front wheel drive, so it's going to be more efficient, maybe extend your range but not give you quite as good of traction. And then rear, that's the 350 watt motor, and that one's going to give you just kind of the traditional ride akin to some of the older Evos and even the Neo models. So 350 watt, 250 watt on this particular model, or you can turn it just off. And this, I think this just defaults to rear wheel drive, so I think that's a little bit redundant with rear and off seeming to do the same things, but regardless, that's what that does. So we'll lock it in, and then we can select the battery size. So it's funny, sometimes on these demo bikes I've been seeing that says 8.7 amp hours, sometimes it's a little bit less. You can actually find that written right on the battery pack. So if we come back over to this one that's not on the bike, and we flip it around like this, we can see that it says 48 volts, 8.7 amp hours down here. So that's the amp hours. So we'd go back to the display and lock it in at 8.7. And now we're back to wheel size. So once you've done that, you're all set and you're like, yep, I don't want to change anything. I'm ready to kind of lock it. Hold the power button again for quite a while. And that had me concerned. I thought it was going to shut the thing off, but it doesn't. It just sort of leaves that menu. And now we're back at the main display. Oh, and this is backlit, so if you hold down, see how it comes to life like that, and you get the little icon right there? That would also activate our lights if we were riding something like this over here. Got the Evo City, it's got the built-in lights. So that's pretty nice. Nice little extra feature. So this is the Easy Motion Evo charger. Works for any of the bikes. It's 2 amp output, which is kind of standard. I like that you can unplug the wall side if you want to, just to make it a little bit cleaner if you're packing it in your backpack, that kind of thing. It gives you a little bit of extra length as well. You can see if we follow this all the way down here, we've got the end connected that plugs right into the battery pack. So this is cool for if it's a really cold or really hot day and you want to bring the battery inside, or maybe you're charging at work. So you bring that inside, you plug it in with the charger and top it off. I really love that they've got an LED indicator on it so you can tell how full it is in case you haven't ridden for a while and might slowly drop over time. But then if you want to, you can charge the battery right on the bike. And that's what I tend to do. I'll leave my bike, in my room. I don't tend to park it outside just because it's a little bit more sensitive with all the different components and it's kind of a high value product. So in order to do that, you disconnect the little dongle, just try not to lose that. And now this end, you can go ahead and plug directly into the bike right there on the chainstay on the left-hand side. But in order to get it in, you kind of have to, you push it in, line it up right, and then there's this little wings on the side, and you've got to tighten it down kind of like half a turn, and it kind of locks it into place. So it's cool because it feels solid once it's in. However, what I've noticed about these bikes is that if you push it back, like maybe you're trying to get it out of the way, you push it back, the crank arms kind of slowly go back, and that's what you don't want to do because it's going to break it off because it's really connected well. Same thing with the keys. A lot of the keys kind of fold and they stay mostly out of the way, but it just seems like there's a lot here that could get damaged with those crank arms. Even the kickstands, a couple times, you can see this one has some abrasions on the side of it. That's because people were moving the bikes around like this, backing it up. You can see that crank arm coming down and then right there. And so it stops the bike, but it's also potentially enough force if you really pushed it to kind of bend or break that off. So you just want to be conscious both when you're charging this about not losing that, and then also about not breaking off the key, the charging port, or the kickstand. Another really cool option that they're selling now is this neoprene sleeve. It's almost like a wetsuit material, and it's designed to keep the battery a little bit warmer, or at least protect it from the cold. So they say anytime it's below 60 degrees outside, this is going to help extend your range, potentially by up to 30%, just by keeping the battery a little bit warmer. And I feel like there's some caveats there. I mean, it must be like if the battery was stored inside and it's already warm, if the whole bike was stored inside and it's already warm. If you leave this in your garage and the bike is super cold overnight, like that's kind of hard on the cells, and it's already going to be cold. I don't feel like this is it's going to just insulate the cold. So I would try to keep that at sort of a neutral, cool, dry location, and then potentially get yourself one of these. It's $35 and it's just got a zipper on it, so I'll go ahead and try to mount that real quick. It's almost like a real wetsuit. Not super easy to do. Just a little bit of screwing around. It's a pretty handsome accessory. I don't think I've seen anything like this on any other electric bikes. That's cool. It's got the branding and everything. Apparently, they're pretty popular in Canada and some of the Scandinavian countries where it gets cold, and people are actually trying to make their own out of this different materials and stuff. And I haven't tested. I'm here in Southern California at the BH North America headquarters, hanging out in their ginormous storage warehouse, checking out all the new models for 2016. I just think that's cool. Wanted to call out, give you a close-up on that, and it should work with most of their models, at least the Evo models. It's not going to work with the Easy Go models because they have the little pouch-style backpack, nor will it work with the Bosch system because, as you can see, it's sort of an externally mounted battery pack. But yeah, for the other ones, that's what it looks like. Okay, well, I think it's time to give this thing a test ride. Stowed the kickstand. It is adjustable length, which is kind of nice. I want to point out again, just as you back the bike up, it's real easy to shear off that charging port or the kickstand. You can see where this one has some scraping going on just because people have done exactly that. They've backed the bike up while the kickstand was down. Okay, I think I'm gonna start off in just throttle on demand mode. That's basically 0 on the display. I wish you could override pedal assist with the throttle, but I understand that for some people it might be a little bit kind of insecure if you're like riding, you're pedaling, and then you bump the throttle. Whoa, I didn't mean to do that. But I like, as a user who's a little bit more advanced, I like to be able to use the throttle anytime I want. So I could be in a lower level of assist and then give myself a boost without having to go over here and think and look down and click things. You know, it'd be nice if I had it all. Or maybe they would have a switch that just said, turn off the throttle, turn on the throttle. That would be nice, because that would be very simple. I've got the throttle, I can use it in any of the modes, or I don't have the throttle. But they didn't do that, so let's go ahead and juice it. Getting some speed. We're already up to 17, 18 miles per hour. You know, it's a 500 watt motor. It's pretty powerful. It's not like blowing my mind or anything. I've tested other electric bikes that just seem a little more powerful than this. You know, it's a high rating to be sure, but in practice, you know, it gets up the hills and stuff, but it's just not like amazing. And maybe you see that because we're not at 20. It's taken a while. We're going a little bit of an incline right here, 17, and it's sort of done, right? It's like we aren't even hitting 20 just because we're going into the wind a little bit and there's a hill, not even a very big hill. So I think the ideal way to use this would be to shift it into a pedal assist level. So let's do that. Arrow up to 100%. Click some of those shifters. There we go. Now I'm really feeling the juice because I'm contributing. We get up to about 20 miles per hour and then the motor just sort of fades out. So just like it's supposed to. Whoa, getting a little bit of help from that suspension fork up there. It's nice smooth brakes. It's a solid bike. I can see why this one is one of the more popular offerings at $3,099. It's only like $100 more than 2015, but you're getting a bigger motor. You're getting a bigger battery pack. Maybe a little bit of a heavier bike because of those things, but you know, the charger, that was the other thing. It's got the different kind of ponytail that you have to keep track of. All in all though, I'm pretty impressed. Easy Motion seems to have something that works. They've kind of stuck with it for 2016. For the full write-up on this and some of their other electric bikes, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. And if you had one of the other City Waves from 2015 and you want to chime in something I missed or something you really appreciate, definitely do so, and I'll try to answer questions when I can. Ride safe.